Connecting and yay, we are live. Hi, everyone. I am Lenn Woolston, in case you didn't know. And I'm here with Holly Davis. And we just want to say thank you so much for joining this first ever Sips and Ships episode. We are so excited to do this. So, So first of all, I have to ask just, what is everybody sipping on today? So, Holly, what are you sipping on?
So I am sipping on this Mike's Hard Lemonade. It's hard watermelon lemonade. So it's like, I think it's for the summer, which is almost over. But, you know, at the end of the long work week, much needed.
It's Friday, yes. I am drinking in my fall pumpkin cup because I'm so excited that fall is next week officially.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. I am drinking some sage green tea. So that's what I'm sipping on. So let us know in the comments what you guys are drinking. And
that sounds good.
It looks like we have Heather. Hi, Heather. Thanks for joining us. Yay. And Heather is drinking Four Pigs Peach Golden Ale. That sounds delicious. And
that sounds
yes,
awesome.
Definitely. Friday night adult drinking. Yes, for the win.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so we just kind of, I think in doing all of our live streams together that we have been doing lately, Holly and I were like talking, why don't we just do a live stream where we're just chatting? Because every time that we try to do writing sprints, when we take a break, we just want to talk. So here it is. And, you know, especially with quarantine still going on, we kind of just thought this was a great time for everybody to like connect and just be here with each other and be able to, you know, chat. So,
yes.
All right. Well, we are obviously going to be talking about books and everything, but before we do that, I want to go ahead and introduce you to Holly. So can you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you. I'm Holly. My handle is Write Holly Davis. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I'm a YA and middle grade fantasy writer, hoping to be traditionally published and start querying again next year. So fingers crossed for that. But I post like on my social media, I post a lot of like motivation and writing advice. So if you're interested in that, please follow me and check me out. Because I'd love to have you part of my writer friends. That's what I call you guys.
Yeah, and Holly, can you tell us too about a little bit about what you do for your full-time work?
Yes.
You have some videos that relate to that, and they are super helpful.
I do. Thank you. Yes, I'm a physical therapist. So I have some videos about posture when you're sitting at the computer, stretches and exercises that you can do based on, you know, what body parts are commonly get tight or weak on people when they're sitting a lot, because that's what we writers do. Even if you're like in school or for your job, you might have a desk job. So I see a lot of people who have pain because of just their posture, or they sit all the time. So they're things that I need to do as well. So
yeah, I know. I can always tell that like Holly is looking at me when we're doing our chats, and she could see me all slumped and stuff.
I'm constantly
like, come on. Like,
I'm constantly like, all right, chin back, shoulders back.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to throw up some questions that we're going to be answering during our time here. And like I said, they're all centered around books. And so if we go off topic a little bit and don't relate exactly to books, totally fine. I'll allow it. It's the first time. But our first question that I have is, what are you currently reading and how do you like it so far? So Holly, what are you currently reading?
So I'm currently reading technically like two books. I read like more than one book at the same time because I'm usually reading a physical book and then listening to an audiobook at the same time. So right now, the book that I'm reading the physical copy of is You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah, sorry, I don't know her, Leah Johnson, I think, for the Diversity is Lit book club pick this month. And I'm loving it so far. I'm not as far in as I want to be, so this weekend is going to be doing a lot of reading because I think I'm on like chapter 7, but I like having that mix of fantasy, contemporary. So this is like I'm in the mood for a contemporary with like LGBT representation, which I like, and it's so I'm really enjoying it, and the voice is really strong. So yeah, I'm really liking that. And then for the audiobook, I just started Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson, but I had just like binge listened to Allegedly, which was her debut novel. And that was awesome. That's why I finished her first book and I'm like, I need to listen to the next book. Because like that had a strong voice too. So if you've read, like, have you read anything by Elizabeth Acevedo?
Yes.
The Poet X. And then With the Fire on High. I haven't read the third book, which I forget. What was the third book? Clap When You Land. Yeah, I think that one just came out. So haven't read that, but like the voice is like, it reminds me of that, where it was just strong and punchy and just like they had a similar tone to it. Yeah. But then like in Allegedly, there was like a plot twist that like my friend who like recommended it to me was like, oh, there's a plot twist at the end. And so I knew there was this plot twist and I still didn't see it coming. So you know that the author did good on you.
Yes.
With that. But so I just started Monday's Not Coming. And so that's really good so far too. So it's kind of like this contemporary with like these like mystery elements. So yeah, it's kind of up my alley right now.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. So I am currently reading, I actually brought some. I'm currently reading The Stitchers by Lauren Lawrence. And this is a middle grade horror book. And it is so good. I'm almost done with it. And like, if you loved Goosebumps when you were a kid, like this is the book you need. Like it is so up that alley, and it's got a lot of good frightening stuff that you don't necessarily like expect. Like you think it's going to be one thing, and then like it totally like switches to another thing. It is a great book. I highly recommend it. Especially, you know, this is the perfect time, people. Like we are just about to get into fall. So yes, The Stitchers is fantastic.
I'm adding that right now.
Because I'm like Holly, I will read one more. Like I don't do one book at a time kind of thing. So I just started this other book. It's nonfiction, but it is called How to Stop Feeling Like Shit by Andrea Owen. And I love it because it is very, you know, it's like the brutal honesty you need, especially this year. Like this year has not been easy. So I am really enjoying that. So if you're into, you know, any kind of like personal developmental books, like this is really great. It really speaks to you as a woman and just like dealing with a lot of self-doubt and just like that negative inner critic that we have. That kind of like helps you to tackle that. So that is what I am currently reading. So let us know in the comments like what you guys are reading. Yeah. So
I'm adding that. I know. So I already added The Stitchers to my TBR on Goodreads, and then How to Not Feel Like Shit. Sorry, I'm so quick to say that. Oh wait, is that in here? How to not? Oh, maybe they don't have that
I think
word.
They have it in the title. I think it's like blurbs with like you know how to make it like friendly.
It's like not even coming up on here.
Well, if you search Andrea Owen, maybe it will.
Yeah.
But, hi, Claire. I just wanted to give you a shout out. I see you. So happy that you're here. And by the way, Claire has a book coming out. So Claire, you need to like
Ooh.
put that down in the comments so we can make sure everybody adds it to their Goodreads list. Okay.
Yes, because I
She's
have my
amazing,
Goodreads
right?
up. Oh, awesome. What was the
Yes.
author again of the book you're reading?
Andrea Owen.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Because for some reason, okay, here we go. It just did not like that title at all. I was trying.
I know when I tell people, you know, like about that book, they like totally are like, wait, what? But yeah, Jeff started it and it's really good. So let's see. So Heather said, oh, so she also, you should send me a crown. And oh, you just started Hello Universe. How do you like that, Heather? Because that is on my list. I almost bought that the other day. So
I haven't even heard of that one. Where have I been?
Where have you been? There's so many books. Like there's so many books, but yeah, middle grade contemporary. There you go. It's yeah, Heather, you'll have to like tell us because you've actually started reading it. But I honestly have had that one on my list for a while, and I just like got bombarded because so many like good books were getting released like in this like burst all of a sudden in the past few months. So I'm just like constantly like, oh my God, I gotta like read and go to the next one. So that's on my list. So okay.
The struggle is real.
So yeah, she said that she just started, but she loves it so far. So that is good to know because seriously, like, yeah. And then yes, for anybody that wanted to know, could get it. Whoops. The feed was going. Okay, there we go. So Claire's book that is coming out next year is called City of Shattered Light. Add it to your Goodreads, people. Because yes, she, like I said, amazing writer. And so if you like young adult sci-fi, boom, right here. Anything like cyberpunk, this is the book you need.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Added.
Yeah. Sweet.
Oh, this is fun.
All right. I know. I should have warned people, like, bring a pen and pencil or your phone to, like, jot down all these books because your list is getting longer.
It's all good. It's all good. Bring it on.
Yeah, so it's good to hear what everybody's currently reading. And yeah, we have a few other questions that will come later about like how you select what you are reading. But right now, this is a question I love asking people. But what's one book you think everyone should read and why? So Holly, I'll let you start.
Yes. So this should come as no surprise, but I would choose A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. And it's because, like, I usually read YA, but this is the one adult book that I just, like, consumed, and it, like, enveloped me and took me on the path of just, like, okay, now I need to binge read the whole series and read all the other books by Victoria Schwab. The writing is just so strong, and the prose it's like she comes from a poetry background, so there's just so many lines that are so poetic and like thoughtful. And I know she said that there's been times where she's literally spent like 2 hours reworking like one line because she's like, this will be a line that will be quoted and all this stuff. And so like I know that she really works hard, and it comes across in the writing. Besides the fact that like the plot is good and the characters are like awesome. When you say like who's your favorite character, I'm like, who do I say? I love everyone. But yeah, I just call it like it's just like a drool worthy book. So that's my choice.
Yeah, absolutely. See, and Claire agrees with you. Yes, like
Yay.
Holly and I, we love V.E. Schwab. Like we can talk about her books all day long. And Heather also agrees because
Yay.
Yeah, she's just amazing. And I love how because you've met her before, right? Like, did you meet her just that one time or
just that?
Yeah.
Just that once. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
was
like, I
awesome.
know I had the pleasure of meeting her too, last year. And yeah, like she just, oh, man, talk about like just the real person. Like, I don't know,
It,
she's my spirit animal.
I think too, right. I think too, like knowing how she is as a person, like helps me love her books more because
Yeah.
she struggles too. She has insecurities. She has, she suffers from imposter syndrome sometimes as such a successful author. So she like keeps it real and is not like, I'm perfect and yeah, everyone loves me. She's like, I had to work my ass off to get to this point. And yeah, so like she's awesome in that way too. So
Yeah. Yeah. I had a hard time picking like what one book, but I knew you were going to pick Darker Shade of. I knew it.
you
So
know me so well. I love
honestly
it.
didn't pick that. So I was like really thinking back to what book really kind of was like a formative book for me, like growing up. So I went with kind of a classic, and I would say The Giver by Lois Lowry. And I
Yes.
say that because, like, for me, this book, I don't know, it's such a great book for kids who are like in that, that preteen stage because it deals with, like it's in a dystopian realm and everything. And so I think right when you're in that age, it's like you get to see that, like, it's okay to rebel against status quo. And yeah, I really liked that. And I mean, I'm all about like this dystopian stories anyway, but I know that when I had to read that story as a part of like, it was, the book we were doing in my classroom, we had to do like a deep study in it in 6th grade. I just remembered that book because, like how you were in school and you're like forced to read books and you're just like, God, these are awful. Who picks these books?
Right.
This book, I was finally like, that was the one book in elementary school or, middle school where I was just like, wow, like I actually want to read this.
Yeah. Yes.
And then the teacher's telling me I have to, and I kind of want to. So
that's how I always felt with all of the summer reading. And then there would still be kids who like wouldn't read it. And I'm like, number one, you had the whole summer. Number two, this book was really good. So,
yeah.
like
it is
two of them I remember were White Fang and Siddhartha. And I was like, these were really good.
Yeah.
So.
See, I did not have that where I was at a school that got to read White Fang. Like my husband was, and that's one of his favorite books. And I'm like, oh, we didn't even get to read that one. Like, I had to read that when I was, way older. But
The Giver, The Giver was awesome. And then, they made a pretty good movie adaptation. I think so.
See, she also got to meet Queen V. So yeah, we could just start a fan club, I swear.
Yes.
But yeah, let us know in the comment section, like, what is one book that you would recommend everybody read and why? Because I think it's always good to, like recommend things, but I always want to know why. Like, what about that particular book versus all the other ones that are on the bookshelf these days? Like, what is so important about that book? And I know, like, because you and I are both authors, that's something that, like, when you're an author, you have to think about that too. Like, what makes, my writing, stand out? So it's always interesting. Right. It's always interesting to hear people's perspective on things.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, I know during the query live stream, or maybe this was afterwards, but you were telling Heather that like she's really good at like world building, and so it's like it's fun because it's like we have like we even know now, like even though we're not published, we still know like where our strengths lie and can see like what readers might become drawn to.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. Yeah. And I feel you, Heather, because it's a hard decision. I didn't say it was going to be easy tonight. That's why you're supposed to be sipping something.
Exactly. Yeah. Speaking of which.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Like, be generous. If you seriously can't pick one, then give us a couple. Because again, like, I'm here to talk about all the books.
So whenever someone says, say your favorite of this, or if there's one thing, I'm like, I know I can't choose. So let me pick one of the many that are on the equal playing field of being amazing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's like, I would never be able to choose.
I know. And it's hard too, because, you know, when you like, that's what's so great about reading so many genres, is because they each offer their own thing. And so, you know, you might find that there are seasons in your life when, you know, even though you normally read fantasy, you really needed that rom-com, like at that point, you know, like, and so then that one story sticks with you, even though that might not be something that you necessarily are always drawn to. I might be talking from experience here.
No, actually, I was thinking about that because I didn't really read very many rom-coms either, but then I read When Dimple Met Rishi, and then I was like, this was amazing. And then now I'm like hooked on Sanja Menon, and it was just like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to read my fantasy. And then when she comes out with a book, I'm going to that rom-com, you know?
Yeah, I know. Her books are so cute.
Yes.
So, yeah. All right. So Heather finally made one. Okay. Yes. The Lunar Chronicles. Yes. Yay. Marissa Meyer is fan-freaking-tastic too. So highly recommend those. Again, if you like young adult fantasy, even sci-fi, like she does such a good blend, a good mashup. And she has these wonderful retellings, and yeah, she's fantastic. So I think that's great. Okay. And so Heather's why in picking that, it's a great example of world building and character development that pulls you in. That is so true. Heather, that's why you're good at writing world building, because you're able to recognize in other books, and then you like make it your own.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to our next question. And this one is, I love asking this one too. What fictional character would you want to have dinner with, and why?
So it's really funny that Heather's mentioned the Lunar Chronicles. This one was really hard for me, actually. And it's kind of funny that I'm picking this person. But I'm picking Aiko from the Lunar Chronicles. I kind of wanted to pick Cinder because she's awesome, but I'm picking Aiko because in August I read the 2 graphic novels that are set after the Lunar Chronicles, called Wires and Nerve, and it's from Aiko's point of view. And she's already like lovable robot, but like you kind of delve more into her like thoughts and her struggles in the graphic novel. And so I say dinner, but I'm like, well, she can't eat or drink anything. So I'm like, we'll go on like a date or something like that and just like go hang out. But I'd want to spend time with her and just like pick her brain, because like the graphic novel brought up so many things that kind of just like were these gray areas and stuff. And so I really like thought that was cool. So
yeah. So for anybody that's not familiar with that story, can you like describe a little bit about that character, what makes them so special?
So Aiko is a robot or cyborg.
I would say cyborg.
Yeah, so she's a cyborg. She was created. Usually cyborgs like just do everything that they're told. They're programmed a certain way, but with her chip, she was created to have more. She has a personality, and she kind of like acts of her own accord. So she doesn't act like the typical cyborg. And she's just got some wit and punch, and that comes through in her personality. So yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a definitely good choice. Yeah. So this question, like when I had somebody first ask me this question, I immediately, like my go-to answer is Magnus Bane from God, I just Shadowhunters, you know. I'm like, well, he's in lots of books. But at this time, I'm gonna like answer tonight a little bit differently. So I'm going to pick Zedekiah Zulrander or Zed for short, and he is from the Sword of Truth series from Terry Goodkind. It is an epic fantasy. Like he's got so many books written, but they're older. They were like published in like the 80s and 90s. And I just learned yesterday, unfortunately, that Terry Goodkind, the author, he passed away. And his books are just so good. Like if you are into epic fantasy, I highly recommend them. But the reason that I picked Zed is a character who is a wizard, and he is like this incredible wizard, and he's like the wizard of the First Order. And in this series, he is kind of like that sage, that wise person that helps Richard, who is the main character, and he has to be the one who becomes the seeker. And so he has to go on this epic quest, and he has to learn all this new magic ability that he has, and how he has to, take down a lot of like, conflict with humans, and then conflict with like supernatural beings and everything. And it's such an epic story. And I mean, I could pull the books, but I mean, there's like 13 of them, and that was just the like first part of the story, because there's been spin-offs and other stuff. But yeah, like those books meant so much to me. My youngest daughter is named after one of the characters in that book.
That's awesome.
Yeah, talk about book nerd over here, but
it's awesome. Yeah. You're not the only one, and you won't be the last.
But yeah, like I would definitely want to have dinner with him, because the other really cool thing about Zed the Wizard is he has this recipe in the books for this like spice soup. And I love spicy things. And so like, I remember when I was first reading it and that part came up when he's making this spice soup, I was just like, oh my God, I would totally love to have dinner with him.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So highly recommend it if, that whole series. They did make, I believe it was ABC Family way back in the day when that existed.
Oh my gosh, yes.
They did a TV series based on that. It only lasted like 2 seasons, but even that, like, I thought it was a pretty good adaptation. I mean, I know a lot of like Seeker fans, Sword of Truth fans are probably going to watch this and like send me hate mail, but no. So let us know in the comments if there's a fictional character that you would want to have dinner with and why. I also think too, like, especially if you do pick somebody who has the ability to like teleport and stuff, like, can you imagine like, okay, we're going to have, a first course over here in this world. And then, like, let's go teleport to have like our main dish over here. Like, that would be so awesome.
That's so awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I go can fight. So I've got that. I can't remember all of her abilities. So
but at least, anywhere you go, I mean, like you have a bodyguard instantly.
Exactly. Be sweet.
Or maybe that's like something you could do too. Maybe she could like teach you how to fight. That'd be awesome, huh? Maybe you have like these powers you don't even know, Holly.
That'd be amazing. Write a book from scratch with that, from my mind, like just from brain to paper, like in 2 seconds.
There we go. Yeah, exactly. All right. So Heather said she would want to have dinner with Katniss. Okay. Highly approve that choice. I do. Because again, you would be totally cool. What?
I was just like, why did I pick a book bay? Like, why didn't I pick like Peeta or like Adrian from Renegades or I rescind my okay, I'm getting all giddy now. This is not good. This is really bad. I have crushes on this
I'm loving it. It's great. Yeah.
I'm kind of all flustered now.
I know we're gonna have to do some kind of like sips and ships just on like book boyfriends and girlfriends. Like
yes, please. That must be
Yeah, be my love interest. That's the check that out, guys. It'll be in the future.
That'll be a thing. Yes. Yes.
Uh, so Claire says, "Oh, Gideon from Gideon the Ninth. Yes, yes.
Oh, I love that.
For Shenanigans. That's a great book. So yes, I could totally see Claire. So Claire, I want to know, like, would you make dinner for Gideon or would you go somewhere? What would you want to do? Because I mean, there are some shenanigans. So like, would you want to be the ringleader with some shenanigans, or did you want Gideon to take the reins?
I never read that, so now I'm intrigued.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good. I would highly recommend it. I think it'd be right up your alley too. So, I mean, yeah, add it to your list.
Yes, admit.
Yeah. But yeah, the reason why I like this question too is because, again, it's for one, hard to pick. But then also it kind of gives you like, okay, it would be really cool to just like sit down with this character, and because you get almost like an attachment when you read books to characters, like you get this attachment of like, okay, they're a real person. Like I will die on this hill for this person. And so, yeah, like, yeah. So,
that's so true.
She doesn't know what she would want, but okay. Yeah. Claire, you're cracking me up with these comments. Okay. So there, see, yeah, that makes sense. That goes on with Gideon. So yeah, totally agree.
That's hilarious.
I know. See, now I don't even want to tell you anything about it because you're just going to have to read it, and then you're going to have to call and text me because I know you're going to do that when you're reading it.
I know. I'll go in blind. Yes.
All right. So moving on to our next question. How do you select which book to read next? And I will preface this saying that I'm going to go like against like, we'll assume that if you're in a series that you're just gonna be like, the next book of the series. So we're gonna let's say you just finished a series if you are into series. But yeah, how do you go about picking the next book?
Yeah, so I have a really long answer to this.
Go for it. Let's hear it.
So because I read more than one book at the same time, so like if I finish one book, or the physical book, I can read I'm looking for a different book than if I'm getting a different audiobook, like if I finish an audiobook. But so because I read at least one book from the Diversity is Lit book club every month, then like I automatically have a book like already chosen for me from there, since we vote on it.
Yeah.
For every month. So like I always have at least that one. But so things are a little bit different because usually like what I did last year was just like books that like my favorite authors came out with. I'm like, okay, I got to read the next book. But then it was all like, ooh, this book has a lot of buzz, or I watched a lot of like BookTube and people's hauls. And I'm like, ooh, that book sounds interesting. So then I just added a whole bunch of books and I would just like go through my Goodreads, like TBR list and pick one. But then at the start for January this year, I was like, I have way too many books that I own, too many ebooks that I have, and like my list is just getting way too long and I'm not going to be able to whittle this down. So what I've been doing this year is that I had written down all of the books that I own, whether that's an ebook, audiobook, or physical book. And I had plenty where like I could just read these all year and not buy one single book. So my goal was to buy the least amount of books as I could and just read these books that I've already owned. But what I do is like, if I'm not in the mood to read it, the physical copy, I'll see if it's on like the Libby app, which is like a e-library app. So you can get like an e-library card and then listen to audiobooks for free. I used to do Audible, but I'm going to make my membership lapse at the end of this year, and I've joined Scribd because that's cheaper and you get like more audiobooks. So then I'll look and see if it's on there. And so, based on that, like the books that I already own. If I'm not in the mood for any of those, then I'll just, like I said, I'll go through my TBR on Goodreads, or if there is a lot of hype for books, usually I like hear about them on Twitter, and so that's where I'll like maybe buy the book. And then it depends on my mood too. So kind of like we were talking about, like sometimes like, you know, like I love fantasy sci-fi, but sometimes I'm like, gosh, like I just can't think about learning a whole new world and vocabulary and stuff. And I'm like, just give me something in the real world that I don't have to think about. And then if I don't want any kind of story and I'm kind of like, I feel crappy, I'm going to read this self-help book. So I'll kind of switch it up based on like how I'm feeling, or if I'm like, oh, it has been a while since I've read like a writing craft book, like let me throw that into the mix. So it's kind of it's structured but unstructured at the same time. So that's my very long answer.
No, that's good. Yeah, so guys, go ahead and feel free to share if you want to about how you select books. I can say for me, there are some authors that are total, like, I call like an insta buy, because
Yes.
like, okay, we'll go back to Queen V here. All right. So, you know, V.E. Schwab, she's got a book coming out. So like add it to the list. It's happening. So I have like a few authors who definitely, like, I just will devour anything that they write. And then I definitely will, you know, like you were mentioning too, that I really enjoy when people that are, you know, either on Twitter or on Instagram, and, you know, like I know them, you know, on somewhat of a personal level, that they're able to talk about these books and saying like, oh, this was such a great book. Then I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, I know you're being honest. And so, so like that'll definitely get my attention. But I honestly want to say, like, I will admit this, that I really enjoy when I'm watching an author debut. I love being able to just be part of that pre-order, because, you know, it's so true that when you fall in love with the person, you'll fall in love with the product. Like, so I love watching, you know, all of these authors who are getting ready for their debut, and they are, you know, just really excited about putting their work out into the world. And it's like, man, I want to support you. Like,
Oh, I love it.
Support you. So like, that's definitely something that I look for. Yeah. So
I love that.
All right. So, hi, Ryan. Don't feel bad about, you didn't have to comment or anything. It's totally fine lurking. We'll take it. We will take it.
Sliding into the comments like.
Slide in. I already know. So if you don't follow Ryan anywhere, I will let you know that Ryan is like, I would put 100% if he's sipping on something, it's coffee right now. So.
And not decaf, even though it's late, because he ain't about that life.
Who's got time for decaf? So Heather takes a lot of recommendations from Holly because you're always behind.
But sometimes Heather's like, okay, I need to recommend something to you this time. So you'll recommend the middle grade that you're reading, if you like.
Yeah, yes. Yes, exactly. So Ryan says that he picks a book to read next by Strange Whims. I love Strange Whims. See, again, hearing about it on Twitter, YouTube, or TV. And yeah, oh, I should read that. Yeah, yes. Totally the same way. And Holly was sharing with us that she's the same way too. So,
yes.
And I just have to say this too, that, see, we were right. He's drinking coffee.
Love it.
Yeah. And yes, Heather is all about supporting authors too. Like I think when you know, when you are, I don't even want to say aspiring author, because like if you're writing, you're an author, in my opinion. But I think when you are also, you know, part of that writing community, and then you are also, you know, of course, a reader, you do understand the like whole journey it takes to get that book to be published. So like I totally understand the struggles and everything. And that's not something, you know, people talk about on the forefront when they're like releasing their book. Like, hey, it took me, you know, this long and this many tears to get here.
Yes.
It's always, you know, like, here's my book and everything. So yeah, like I'm all about supporting as well.
Yeah,
So,
I feel like because I know how much that first book means to them in terms of like this, I mean, they finally got it published, how hard they worked, but then also like what this means for their future, their career. Like this book needs to sell, this book needs to do good, you know, it can change their life. So yeah, I feel like I've been breaking my my like don't buy books list with like buying. So I break it to buy any like friends whose books come out, or my indie author friends, or yeah, I've been buying a lot of debut authors. So
yeah. And it's always fun. Like I'm one of those weird people that when I first get a book, before I even start it, I read the acknowledgments. So I always love to read about like the team behind how this book came to be. And then I also just, you know, like I'm somebody who really loves reading about people and like how they found their agent and everything, and how they, you know, ended up with their editor at their publishing house, or even if it's like they self-pubbed and like how they chose to, you know, go that path. I love reading those stories. And so in the acknowledgments, I always like seeing how people are able to be just so thankful for the community behind them and everything. So yeah. That's one of those where like, because I'll find too that when I see how the author is, you know, like how we were talking about when you love the person, you love the product kind of thing. You know, they'll shout out to like, and my fellow, you know, writers, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, ooh, who are they? Like, ooh, what books do they have? So sometimes I've read books solely based upon the acknowledgments.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, it's just me. All right. So the next question is, what is your most anticipated upcoming book release?
Okay, so I have two. Because one's this year and one is next year. Won't come as a surprise, but one of my most anticipated releases is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. Very surprising. Because yes, she is an Insta-buy. And then the second book that I just got picked for the street team for is Wings of Ebony by JL. She's my like unofficial mentor that I found through Author Mentor Match, and she's been supporting me, and then she's been like following me, and even her mentees following me, and like so I just see how like wow, she's so integral to the writing community, is helping out these like random people that she doesn't even have to give any advice for. So
yeah,
I was just like, well, and then you know, The Hate U Give meets a Wonder Woman lead in a Black Panther world. I was just like, yeah. So
yes, yeah, definitely.
She for me. So and she's a debut author, so woo! I'm like, and a Black author, so it's like I am hitting all, you know, she's like checking all the boxes.
Yeah. So Heather did say that she likes to buy books that she thinks would make good comps. Yes,
Ooh.
That's very true, because you want to make sure that you, when you're querying, when you say it's, you know, one thing, you want it to be that thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so that's good. That's really good, Heather, that you're like actually reading the book and not just like reading the premise. So that's awesome.
That's smart.
But yeah, okay. So for me, it will not be a surprise because that was going to be my number one book, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. And the reason why I have been just so anxious about getting that book into my hands is because, like we were saying, like it's been such a journey for her to write this book. And when V.E. Schwab says that this is the most me book out there, I know, like, that's what I need to read because I just connect with, you know, her, like you were saying, she's very poetic writing. But then she also, you know, she really does a fantastic job at like blending like supernatural with like the real world and everything. And so,
Yes.
yeah, I'm just really looking forward to that because it also is going to do like a lot of time jumps because it covers like a long period of time. But yeah, it's about a girl in France who like nobody remembers her. And so like it's like this whole thing and she's had like kind of like a deal with the devil kind of thing. And so it's just like this ultimate, I don't know, it's just like this ultimate premise and then like covering, you know, like 300 years, if you will. Like,
right.
And I'm just really excited because supposedly once she, you know, passes that time, she meets a boy who remembers her. And that's just like instantly like, oh man, I'm just like,
you chills.
Tears.
Yeah, it gives you chills. And two, because didn't she take, like, she first came up with this premise like 9 years ago, was it? So it's like this story's been mulling and growing and morphing and like for so long that finally it's coming to fruition. I think that's amazing. And I want to see what's come out of her brain.
Yeah. So if anybody is interested in, you know, us gushing over that book, comes out October 6th. So pretty soon.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, it is. Good. I can binge read it before NaNoWriMo. So
exactly. There we go. We're already setting up like book reading goals. I love it. So let us know what you guys are anticipating, any books. She also is coming out with Bridge of Souls that I know got pushed back, and I believe it's releasing in March of next year. I believe that's the third and final book for the Cassidy Blake series, which is a middle grade. It's like middle grade horror, but it's more like, you know, just dealing with supernatural. Like it's kind of scary, but like there's so much more like contemporary stuff going on with the main character. And yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited.
I read middle grade books and I'm not a middle grade.
I don't either, and I love it.
Yeah. See, and I'm not the only one that reads the acknowledgments because Heather was also saying, reading the acknowledgments is so good.
I was going to say that another reason why, just that, like, Victoria Schwab's books, like, speak to me so much and why she as an author speaks to me is because, like, look, she's written middle grade, YA, adult, and she can do it all. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Graphic books, comic books, screenwriting now she's doing. I mean, told you, she's my spirit animal. All right, so Heather is anticipating Sky Hunter by Mary Lou. Yes. The Cousins by Karen McManus. Yes, Karen McManus, if you love YA thrillers, yes. Like, I mean, yeah, she's a great writer. And then Instant Karma by Marissa Meyer and it's okay, Heather. You do not have to stop. We will take all of the recommendations again. Like, I'm so glad like this is, you know, going to be on my YouTube channel because when I go back and watch it, I can be like, okay, that book.
Yes. Those are all ones I'm looking forward to too. So
yeah, I know. And it's been such a weird year. And I know that like with some books, because of everything going on with, you know, COVID and just the craziness of 2020, a lot of books got pushed back and, you know, they now have different publication dates. So it's crazy. And I feel for all those authors who have had to go through that and everything. And, you know, it's not easy times, but oh, and the other one that is coming out next year is Sing Me Forgotten by Jessica Olsen. And I am so excited that like if you love Phantom of the Opera, like you need to add that because it's like gender bent Phantom of the Opera retelling, and I'm so excited and I'm
Me
so jealous of
too.
everybody on Instagram that is like she sent out like some boxes, like like almost like a subscription box kind of thing, like for her book, and it like came with a mask and like all this like beautiful stuff. And I'm just
Oh,
like, we're so lucky.
she just came out with a newsletter today and posted her query letter that she got her agent with. So that was really interesting. So if you guys aren't subscribed to her, she's giving out good stuff. So
Yeah, totally. So Ryan says, I feel like I have so many books waiting to be read. I don't have any time to anticipate books yet to release. Yeah, we're all there. We all have a long list.
the struggle is real.
But yeah. So let's see. Who else? So Infinity Quartz. Oh, I don't know about this one. I'm going to have to look this one up. I don't know about this one, Claire. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Oh, sorry. Akemi sounds familiar. Did she have that like white, wasn't there like, it was like a really white book cover.
Okay.
I need to look this up.
Yeah. See, so Claire's one of those authors. Yeah. I mean, oh, man, I'm so sorry that you're having to deal with that. But again, her book is coming up soon. So definitely add it. I think she has linked it down in the comment section. But if not, search for Claire and she will find you and she will make sure you get her book, because I'm going to make sure you get her book. It's awesome. But yeah, it's kind of just interesting to watch, like publishing as a whole. And like, even the fact that, like bookstores are kind of like changing. I went into Barnes and Noble just this week for the first time in like months, and it was like so different in there. And I know it's probably because like they have to take down shelves to like make space, just like so that there's social distancing and everything. But it was just like, wow, this is so different.
That's sad. It's weird.
Yeah. And but there have been some like indie bookstores that I think are still like thriving and doing well. My favorite indie bookstore that's in the Bay Area, and because I live in California, is called Kepler's. They are doing amazing, and I was able to order stuff through them during this time, even though they had to be shut down. And yeah, all that to say that you should definitely support indie bookstores. You don't always have to go to Barnes & Noble, but even Barnes & Noble now, it seems like they need all the help they can get because freaking Amazon.
Yeah, because even then they don't have books. Like when I had to get A Song of Wraiths and Ruin in June, it was the only book. Like it was the only copy. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad I'm getting it because I need it.
I got the golden ticket.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's hard. And then 2 weeks ago, we were there and my friend was trying to find Midnight Sun and she couldn't find it anywhere. And of course they didn't have it at the Barnes and Noble either, but she was even looking at indie places. So
wow,
it's just a lot of things are really, slowing down.
Yeah. But I'm hopeful that they're going to pick up and everything, and we're going to, be able to bounce back, and just, I mean, the books have existed for how long, people? Like, we're not going to let 2020 take them away from us. So
exactly.
Yeah. And the other thing too is like, I really miss going to book events. Like that has been what's so great about, like in the past when they are releasing, there is like an upcoming book release. Like it's so great when you get to, go there. Like if you have the chance to go there and to meet the author, hear them, talk about the history of like the behind the scenes of the book and everything. And yeah, just, it's so nice to have like one-on-one connection. And I am grateful though that people like authors are figuring out ways to do like streaming events.
Yes.
So it's like you get that, a little taste of what that's like.
Right.
Yeah. So, see, good job, Heather. She has ordered her last 4 books from her local bookstore. That's great. And I know, like, I'm not completely anti-Amazon or anything. I guess, like, I want to make sure that there are bookstores, like, so that we can, like, go to have, like, these book events and everything, and to have those meet and greets. Because, I mean, yeah, we just don't want to give all our money to Amazon.
True. Yeah, that's a good reminder because I've been kind of bad with that. So,
well, and I know, like, right now it's been challenging because, again, like, some bookstores weren't even open, and some are still, not. But as things shift, and hopefully the bookstores that are available to you, like maybe they offer curbside pickup. I've done that. Where you're able to like order ahead and like they'll come out and give it to you in your car, so you don't even have to go in. But a lot of them are like opening up the like option to just have it sent to you in the mail. But yeah. So before we go, Holly, I am going to just kind of put you on the spot for a second. And I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions, and you have to pick one.
Got it. Okay.
All right. You ready?
Ready.
All right. So, paperback, ebook, or audiobook?
Paperback.
Okay. Series or standalone?
Series.
Rom-com or mystery?
Rom-com.
Okay. Fantasy or science fiction?
Fantasy. That's hard.
Young adult or adult?
Young adult.
Okay. And what about comic book versus like graphic novel?
Graphic novel.
Okay. Reading in season or out of season? Like books that are written like in a particular season. Do you want to read it in that season or out of season?
Oh. I would say in season, but the couple books I've read lately have been out of season. So I'm going to say out of season. Like I read a summer book in the winter and a fall book in the spring. So.
Okay. All right. I'm going to make it a little bit harder. Okay. With this next question. What's one book that you hated that everybody loved?
Ooh. Oh shoot. I'm trying to think of a book that I DNF'd. Oh, The Cruel Prince.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I will be nice and I won't ask anymore, but
did I just like rip your heart out with that?
No. Absolutely not. I am somebody who honestly, there's a book out there for everybody, but not every book is for everybody. Mm-hmm. I'm a firm believer in that. Like you do you, boo.
Yes.
Yeah. If it makes you feel any better, okay, I know I'm going to go, I hate saying this, but I have never been into Twilight. I have never watched the movies.
Oh, I haven't read the books. I've only watched the movies. And then I tried to read the books, but they felt too slow because I knew what was going to happen. So that's why I was like, well, maybe I'll read Midnight Sun because now I can get on that. But people were like, if you didn't read the rest of Twilight, you don't want to start from Edward's point of view. So I was like, okay.
See, I have no idea. So I feel really bad when I tell people that because I know it just breaks their heart. But yeah, I'm sorry. I just, not for me. So all the time that you don't like Cruel Prince, we can still be friends.
Okay, good. Phew, as long as we can still be friends. I won't have to take it back. I was just joking. I mean, like you didn't get my sarcasm?
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. And I mean, this, to be honest, like this is the first time I've done a live stream. So it was like I was really excited to do this. So thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your Friday night to sit with us and everything. So real quick, Ryan did say that his wife read Midnight Sun and she hated it so much. Oh, worse. Oh no. Well, I know some people are liking it. I think. I mean, I hope so. So
Maybe.
Again, there's a book out there for everyone, but it's not a book for everyone. You know, like you gotta find what works for you. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure that you do follow Holly. She is linked down below in the description box. So if you want to follow all of her adventures, my info is down there too. And again, thank you guys so much for hanging out. We are hoping to do this once a month. So we have something so exciting for next month because it's October. That's all I'm going to say. So join us too. So be on the lookout for all of the updates and info regarding when we will do this again. But yeah, so happy sips and chips. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye. I'll wait forever.